It's a beginning and an ending. Rain falls from saturated skies, plummeting to earth. Some soaks into the soil and makes its way to storage areas deep underground. Most of the rain remains on the surface, in the soil, collecting in puddles, running off to lakes, creeks, streams, the ocean. The sun is the engine that drives the hydrologic cycle. The warmth of the sun causes water to evaporate. Thirsty plants contribute by drinking their fill and then releasing the remaining moisture as vapor, a process known as transpiration. Together, these two processes, evapotranspiration, send the water back into the sky to form clouds that grow heavy with moisture, then produce rain. The water cycle remains unbroken. Water is continuously recycled. There's the same amount of water on Earth today as there was when man first arrived. The water that dinosaurs drank is the same water we use today for play, to drink, to grow food, and to make products. Most of the Earth is water, but only about 1% of the water on Earth is potable. Nearly 97% is salty or otherwise undrinkable without extensive treatment. The remaining 2% is locked in ice caps and glaciers. Nowhere is water a more defining feature than in Florida, with its subtropical peninsula surrounded by salty seawater and brimming with freshwater lakes, rivers, wetlands, and estuaries.
How you doing?
In 1972, Florida created the current system of water management districts to manage and protect the water resources. The Southwest Florida Water Management District includes all or part of 16 counties along the west-central section of the peninsula encompassing 10,000 square miles. With 4 million people, personal income within the district is nearly $129 billion a year, greater than 27 individual states. The district is rich in water resources with about 1,800 lakes, 13 major rivers, 3 estuaries of national recognition, and thousands of acres of productive wetlands. Beneath the ground lies the aquifer, porous sands and water-bearing rock called limestone. There are 3 aquifers in most of the district: the superficial, the intermediate, and the Floridan. The largest aquifer is the Floridan aquifer. The green swamp serves as the hydrologic heart of the district. The fertile area spawns 4 major river systems, impacting surface water resources the length of the district, from the mouth of the Withlacoochee River to Charlotte Harbor. Groundwater seeps below the surface and collects in the aquifer. Natural pressure builds as water at higher elevations tries to move to lower elevations, pushing the groundwater through the district in 3 directions, or 3 groundwater basins. Most of the Florida peninsula is a hydrologic island. A hydrologic divide snakes across the peninsula from Cedar Key on the Gulf to New Smyrna Beach on the Atlantic. North of the hydrologic divide, Florida receives surface water and groundwater from outside of the state. South of the hydrologic divide, Florida totally depends on rainfall for its fresh water. We are blessed with an average rainfall of about 52 inches a year, but our natural systems require as much as 40 inches of rainfall to remain healthy. These natural systems define Florida and sustain our quality of life. The Water Management District, under the direction of a governing board and 8 regional basin boards, is responsible for protecting and managing the water resources. The boards are composed of unpaid volunteers appointed by the governor. The governing board sets policy and provides direction to a staff of more than 700, focusing on 4 areas of responsibility: water supply, flood protection, water quality, and natural systems. To meet these responsibilities, the district utilizes tools including long-range planning, its regulatory authority, financial incentives for water resource projects, land acquisition, data gathering, and habitat restoration projects. In Florida, water is considered a public resource, meaning it's owned by the public as a whole, and not any one individual. Anyone wanting to pump large quantities of water is required to obtain a district water use permit. The district also issues permits that protect water quality in wetlands and ensure that land development does not cause flooding to neighbors. But the district is more than a regulatory agency. The district partners with local, state, and federal governments to support flood protection programs, promote water conservation, protect water quality, develop water resources and supplies, protect and restore natural habitats, and plan for future water needs. In our district alone, we withdraw, on average, 1.3 billion gallons of fresh water each day to meet our needs. Almost 90% of that comes from the aquifer or groundwater. Public water supply and agriculture account for more than 80% of the water used in the district. Our over-reliance on groundwater has created problems. In the Tampa Bay area, thousands of acres of lakes and wetlands have been impacted. Along the ridge that stretches through Polk to Highlands County, lake levels have been lowered. At times, the upper Peace River fails to flow at all. And along the coast, salt water is intruding into the aquifer, making the water too salty for drinking or irrigation. The district is working with other agencies to develop alternatives to groundwater. These alternatives include surface water from rivers and reservoirs, desalinated seawater, reclaimed or recycled water, and water conservation. The timing of our rainfall presents another water supply challenge. More than 60% of our total yearly rainfall occurs from June through September. A key to meeting our future water supply needs will be developing enough storage to capture water during the wet seasons so that it can be used during drier times. To address some of these storage concerns, the district assisted Manatee County in developing the nation's first aquifer storage and recovery project. Also known as ASR, the process captures excess surface water, treats it, then stores it underground where it can later be retrieved for use. Our area leads the nation in recycling water. District funding has enabled more than 130 million gallons of reclaimed water to be used daily. Use of reclaimed water combined with district water conservation projects, instituted since the early 1990s, have saved nearly 100 million gallons of potable water per day. Meeting current and future needs while protecting the environment requires all of us to be responsible stewards of our water resources. The immediate Tampa Bay area, Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco counties, is one of the largest metropolitan areas in the country. The area's major waterways include the Hillsborough, Alafaya, Anclote, and Little Manatee rivers, and the region's namesake, Tampa Bay. The region's population of nearly 2.5 million is larger than 18 of the 50 states. While supplying enough water for people and the economic engine that supports them, the need to protect the area's fragile environment is the primary water issue facing Tampa Bay. For decades, it was cheap to pump groundwater. But as the area grew, the effects of too much pumping began to appear. Lake levels dropped. Wetlands, streams, and creeks dried up. Along the coast, salt water intruded into freshwater wells. To reverse this trend, the district adopted an approach that includes regulation, conservation, and development of alternative sources to groundwater. Many of the water-related problems began prior to regulation. Today, the district's permitting process determines the amount of water needed and requires efficient use while protecting our water resources and the environment. In addition to permitting, the district promotes conservation through public awareness and education, funding programs to make water fixtures more efficient, working with industry and agriculture to reduce their use of groundwater, and partnering with others to promote Florida-friendly landscaping. The district also funds alternative sources to groundwater. A major alternative is reclaimed water, which is processed from wastewater and used primarily for irrigation, manufacturing purposes, and power generation. It's believed that up to 50% of the water pumped to homes in Tampa Bay is used for landscaping, and that about a third is wasted because of poorly designed or misused sprinkler systems. Using reclaimed water saves millions of gallons of fresh water a day. The district is working with utilities and Tampa Bay Water, the regional wholesale water utility, to develop a regional reclaimed water project. This project will fully use all the reclaimed water from the City of Tampa's wastewater treatment facility during both the dry and wet seasons. This project will meet irrigation needs, provide environmental restoration, ensure adequate flows in the Hillsborough River, and increase the available potable water supplies. Another alternative is desalination of brackish water and seawater. Desalination can provide a vast and essentially drought-proof water supply. Historically, desalination has been more costly than traditional water resources. However, technological advances have made the cost of desalinated water more competitive with other sources. Brackish water, which is less salty than seawater, is easier and cheaper to treat. Dozens of treatment plants operate along the state's coastline. The increased use of surface water from rivers and lakes can also provide an alternative. Maximizing the use of surface water requires sufficient storage to capture water during high flows to be used during the dry season. A reservoir is one water storage method. Another storage method is aquifer storage and recovery, or ASR. Treated water is typically injected into the brackish part of the aquifer, where it is stored until needed. For the Tampa Bay area, population growth is not only a water supply challenge. Construction needed to support new arrivals has replaced wetlands and other habitat, which historically served as natural water filtering systems. Stormwater runoff with nutrients and pollutants carried with it can be a significant problem, choking lakes and ponds and reducing overall water quality. The bay itself, reflecting the health of the area's ecosystem, was by the late 1970s in bad shape. This was prior to the district's stormwater permitting program. Seagrasses, an important water quality indicator, had fallen to about 20% of estimated historic levels, threatening the environmentally and economically important Tampa Bay estuary. The district initiated a series of projects with local governments and state and federal agencies to restore habitat and to improve water quality. The bay's seagrass level, though still far from historic highs, has shown marked improvement since the establishment of the district's programs. The district acquires land not only for habitat restoration, but also to preserve water quality, reserve a future water supply source, or provide special aquifer recharge areas. District lands are often managed by local governments providing recreational opportunities, hiking, bicycling, camping, horseback riding, fishing, hunting, for thousands of residents and visitors each year. Land acquisition also serves the district's original responsibility, flood protection. The district lands along the lower Hillsborough area are primarily for storing floodwaters. District land was also used to develop the Tampa Bypass Canal. The canal has diverted billions of gallons of water a day from the Hillsborough River, protecting large sections of the cities of Tampa and Temple Terrace from historical flooding. The canal also serves as a freshwater supply source. The Tampa Bay region faces continuing challenges to provide an adequate water supply while also protecting its environment. The district is dedicated to meeting the challenge. New alternative water sources have become reality, and the impacts of excessive groundwater withdrawals are being resolved. Water remains at the heart of the region's economy and quality of life. The district's southern region from Interstate 4 south to Charlotte Harbor is diverse, with city and suburban development along the coast, spacious farmland inland, phosphate mining tracts to the north and east, and the Charlotte Harbor estuary at the mouth of the Peace River forming its southern border. The area's economy generates annual personal income of more than $40 billion, which is more than the personal income of 11 states. The area's population of approximately 1.5 million people is larger than 12 states. The southern region is rich in water resources. Surface waters include 5 major rivers, multiple creeks, and a string of lakes dotting the ridge in Polk County. 3 different aquifers are found in the southern region, including the Sufficial, the Intermediate, and the Floridan. The design of the aquifer in the region restricts rainwater from making its way into the deeper Floridan aquifer. Much of the recharge occurs along the sandy Lake Wells Ridge, 85 miles east of the Gulf of Mexico. It can take centuries for water recharged along the Lake Wells Ridge to reach coastal areas. This means water drawn from wells today in Sarasota might have fallen as rain before the British colonists were planning their trip to Jamestown, and Shakespeare was writing Othello. What links the diverse southern region is a shared problem: too much water being pumped from the Floridan aquifer, about 650 million gallons a day. This overpumping has reduced water levels in the Floridan aquifer, causing saltwater intrusion along the coast, reduced flows in the Peace River, which feeds the Charlotte Harbor estuary, and lowered levels in lakes along the Lake Wells Ridge. As a result of all these conditions, the entire region has been designated the Southern Water Use Caution Area, known as SWCA. The district has developed a recovery strategy to address these water resource problems, while also meeting existing and planned water needs for the next 25 years. The recovery strategy rests on a foundation composed of water conservation, alternative supplies, land use changes, and environmental restoration. The district employs a combination of regulation, education, and financial incentives to promote water conservation among all users. Water conservation simply means water should not be wasted. Working with local partners, the district helps fund a variety of research, rebate, and educational programs to promote efficient water usage. For instance, the district is encouraging conservation through the FARMS program, a partnership with the Florida Department of Agriculture. FARMS provides for agricultural interests to be reimbursed for 50% or more of the cost of projects that improve water quality, increase efficiency, reduce pumping from the aquifer, or conserve, restore, or augment local water resources. Water conservation plays a key role, but other alternative sources are needed. The district's regional water supply plan identifies potential alternative water sources to serve growing needs or replace existing groundwater withdrawals. These alternatives include surface water, reclaimed water, desalination, and conservation. One successful alternative water supply project uses surface water from the Peace River. Called the Peace River Option, this program is one of the earliest and most successful attempts to reduce groundwater usage. During the rainy season and other times when the Peace River flow is high enough, the Peace River Minnesota Regional Water Supply Authority is allowed to divert water. The river water is pumped to the reservoir, then treated to drinking water standards before it's sent to the public. Any amount that is not immediately needed is stored using the Aquifer Storage and Recovery, or ASR wells. This water is available when the river or reservoir water is unavailable. Reclaimed water is another important piece of the water supply puzzle. Reclaimed water is treated wastewater. By reducing demand for traditional groundwater, this alternative source provides relief to a stressed environment. The use of reclaimed water is growing, with governments, industries, and agriculture realizing the benefits of reusing the resource. In areas of the district where alternative water sources are not readily available, land use changes will play a key role in meeting new water needs. New homes mean more people and new demand for water. But these new residences are often being built on former agricultural land. Some of the water that was used for farming will be available to meet the needs of the new residential or other land uses. Reducing groundwater pumping alone won't solve all the water resource problems in SWCA. Rather than relying solely on cutbacks to groundwater pumping, other creative options are being pursued. Restoring the historic drainage and storage in the watershed will be a key in addressing the low flow problems in the Upper Peace River. The district is working on several projects that would restore the historic water storage in the Upper Peace River region, capturing more water during the wet season, holding it in the upper reaches of the watershed, and then releasing it into the Upper Peace River during dry periods. The district is partnering with government, industries, agriculture, businesses, and residents to address water resource concerns and meet the water needs of the region. The future of the southern region lies in our ability to work together and share these precious resources. The northern region of the district includes those counties above the Tampa Bay area: Hernando, Citrus, and Sumter, and portions of Levy, Marion, and Lake counties. There are two major watersheds in the region: the Springs Coast Watershed and the Withlacoochee River Watershed. Major waterways include the Withlacoochee, Crystal, Homosassa, and Weeki Wachee rivers, the Salapopka Lakes, and numerous springs. An interesting water resource feature in the northern region is the relationship between the Withlacoochee River and the three water basins known as the Sala-a-Popka chain of lakes. Some scientists believe the systems were once a giant lake that perhaps rivaled the size of Lake Okeechobee until a cataclysmic event reshaped the land. In the northern region, the Floridan Aquifer rises to near the land's surface. Beneath the ground, the porous region of rock, referred to as karst topography, provides for easy connections between ground and surface waters. Because of the region's topography and geology, aquifer recharge is plentiful. As a district-wide average, about 6 inches of rainfall each year makes its way into the aquifer. In the northern region, 10 to 25 inches recharge the aquifer annually. The aquifer's limestone foundation allows for sinkholes and springs. Springs are areas where water flows directly from the aquifer to the surface, supplying flow to a river or other water body, and serving as a vital freshwater source for estuaries. Unlike its neighbors to the south, the northern region as a whole has not faced the kind of explosive growth that would strain its resources. But growth is coming, flowing north from the Tampa Bay area along major arteries like the Suncoast Parkway and I-75. The northern region has the opportunity to plan for the future and learn from the lessons of others. District assessments have determined that the northern region has adequate traditional sources of water or groundwater to meet its water needs for the next 20 years. This assessment is based on projected growth and efficient water use. The district partners with many local governments to provide water conservation, education, encourage Florida-friendly landscaping, and financial incentives like rebates for retrofitting inefficient plumbing fixtures. There also are water quality problems that need to be addressed. The same karst topography that allows for easy recharge of the aquifer also allows pollutants easier access to groundwater. District monitoring of the many springs in the region, like those at Weeki Wachee, Rainbow River, and Kings Bay, has detected an increase in nitrates. Excess nitrates cause unwanted algae blooms. These blooms choke off the water's oxygen supply and reduce light penetration, threatening both plant and animal life. The source of much of these nitrates is lawn fertilization. The district has numerous education programs, including Florida-friendly landscaping, aimed at teaching homeowners the appropriate use of fertilizers, pesticides, and irrigation to reduce the risk of water quality problems from runoff that reaches the aquifer. The district also closely works with the Nitrate Remediation Group, a consortium of local organizations, agencies, and governments to identify solutions to reducing nitrates. The district operates one true flood protection structure in the northern region, known as the Sala Apopka Outfall Canal. This structure provides flood protection to lakefront homeowners by releasing water from the lakes into the Withlacoochee River. The Sala Apopka system has been modified by man. In the past 150 years, wetlands have been drained, canals have been dug, and the natural water flow has changed significantly. In addition to the Outfall Canal, the district also operates water control structures within the lakes to maintain seasonal water levels and provide some flood protection. Whenever possible, the district prefers to use a non-structural approach to flood protection. Acquiring land affords the ultimate assurance that floodplain storage areas will be protected. The district's land acquisition program provides multiple benefits. In addition to flood protection, lands acquired have helped water supply by providing natural recharge areas for the aquifer, and water quality by preventing potentially harmful development and protecting natural systems that filter stormwater runoff. The district's multi-use land management philosophy allows for a broad range of recreational activities. Some of the significant acquisitions in the northern region include the Potts Preserve and Flying Eagle properties along the Withlacoochee River and the Weeki Wachee Preserve along the Weeki Wachee River in Hernando County. Some water bodies receive additional protection. The district partners with the state and other agencies in this region to protect and restore these water bodies. Kings Bay Crystal River and Lake Panasoffkee are priority water bodies in the northern region of the district. Lake Panasoffkee is the largest lake in the region. Groundwater that feeds the lake is naturally enriched with high levels of minerals, which solidify and settle to the bottom, destroying fish beds. Since the 1940s, almost 800 acres, or nearly a quarter of the lake's open water area, have been lost due to this accumulation. Under the direction of the Lake Panasoffkee Restoration Council, the district is the lead agency on a program that will improve fish habitat, restore the shoreline, and improve navigation by dredging nearly 8.5 million cubic yards of sediment from the lake and removing more than 900 acres of unwanted vegetation. The northern region of the district offers an excellent opportunity to apply water management lessons learned in other areas, where much of the development occurred before today's modern system of water management. We can ensure adequate water resources, good water quality, and protection of our natural systems. This is Florida at its best.